All right, that brings us to Crowdfunding Corner for the week of May 30th, 2025. We look at crowdfunding projects for board games that end in the next 2 weeks, generally, just so that you are aware of them before their projects end. I generally like Euro games, so there's not usually a lot of games with lots of miniatures and dungeon crawl type games, but occasionally. So anyways, there are a few projects today, so let's hop right in. This first one's called Meteor Shower. It's a 2-player game where each player has a rover, and they're using that rover to move around this map, and you can pick up meteor pieces, and then you are trying to deposit them in a line. And if you can create a line of your pieces from one side of the board to the other, then you win. Has 2 sides of the board, a 6x6 playing field and a 12x12 that play in either 10 minutes or about 30 minutes. So you can play a super short game or like a slightly longer version. I liked how the rovers looked, and it looked pretty simple, to be honest, and kind of unique. So that one is Meteor Shower on Kickstarter until June 2nd. Next up is a game that I don't know that I usually would care about, but I like Godzilla, so I was like, all right, we'll talk about it for a sec. It's called Battle Monsters Godzilla Cross Kong, and you will play as one of the titans of like this world. You got Godzilla. What's that guy's name with the dragon with the 3 heads? King Ghidorah.
I think you're right. Yeah.
My kids really love those movies, so I see them more than I probably would otherwise. Then you got Godzilla. Nope, I already said Godzilla. King Kong and Mecha Godzilla. I like Mecha Godzilla too. He's cool. You play as one of those, and then you also have like some troops on the ground and stuff. And you can move your Titans around. You might accidentally step on a tank and destroy it or squish stuff that way. But then you can play cards and stuff as well to kind of manipulate the troops on the ground. And you're just trying to defeat the other Titan before they defeat you, kind of. It's from Restoration Games, and they make good stuff. Even if this kind of, I don't know, head-to-head skirmish kind of game isn't normally my kind of thing. I like the idea of, hey, I've got my big dude, and he's what I need to like kind of keep safe. He'll be my brute force, but I've got some troops on the ground, and I could maybe like attack your troops or use one of my cannons to shoot up at your dragon or something. So anyways, that is Battle Monsters Godzilla times Kong times Godzilla X Kong. And it's on Kickstarter until June 3rd.
With massive miniatures.
Yes. All right, next up, there's a few kind of new versions this week, so we'll go through some of them pretty quick. This one is, I don't know how to pronounce it, Trismegistus. This game came out quite a few years ago, I think almost like 10 maybe, from Daniele Tascini, a very famous designer. And they say in like their write-up here that because of some graphic design stuff and the artwork that they didn't love, and a couple design things they thought were like overly complex isn't the right word, but overly like obtuse, it didn't like perform as well as they thought it should. So they're releasing a new version that has new art, also like a smaller roll and write like supplement game, but new art, slightly cleaner rules on a few of the segments of the game, and yeah, just like new pieces and stuff. And I know that a few like board game channels that I really respect really like this game. It did just kind of look like ugly and kind of crazy. Like that was the original cover. Just what's he look like? Kind of looks like I don't know, Cat Gandalf. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm gonna look into this one a little bit more. It's supposed to be a pretty heavy game where you're like converting different kinds of magic into other kinds of magic, I guess. But it has nice new double layered boards to keep everything organized and stuff. So if you like Daniele Tascini, and I do like a lot of his games, and Board and Dice does a lot of games in their T series, games that start with the letter T. I have Toletum, and other ones would be Zolkin and things like that. Then you might want to check that one out. It's on Gamefound until June 5th. Next up is a unique one. It kind of reminds me of The Crew, which is a trick-taking game where you can't talk to your teammates and you're all trying to win these like 50 different missions. And since I can't talk, I can sometimes pass you little bits of information, and you're trying to like make sure like that you meet the condition of the scenario. Like, I need to win 2 tricks, you need to win 5, or don't win any tricks with odd numbers or something weird. This one has a similar idea on cooperative card play where you can't communicate with each other about what cards you're holding in your hands. But instead of it being like a trick-taking game, this one is about poker. And so there's like a central hand, and you're trying to beat it together. So if we're trying to beat a full house, we need something better than that, 4 of a kind or whatever. But then there's also like, if you do something special during the round, there's a joker card that you can earn that acts as a wild. And I don't know, it seemed pretty kind of sharp and fun. And I kind of like the rat artwork on it. It's quirky, but they're funny looking. So I liked it. River Rats. That's on Kickstarter for 7 more days until June 5th. And then, is this the last one?
2 more.
2 more. Okay, whoops. I closed the wrong link.
Oh, let's see.
The next one is called Conquest of... no, I can't remember.
Paradise.
Conquest of Paradise. This one's also a remake of a game that first came out in 2007. And I think it's a 4X game, which generally means you're like exploring, exterminating, expanding, whatever the other X's stand for. You're trying to like spread your influence, grow your infrastructure. You might sometimes need to fight and like take control from other players. But usually those games are kind of like sci-fi focused or whatever. This one is it says set in the sweeping blue of the Polynesian Triangle. So it's a lot more about like ships and islands and taking over control that way. But is also like a fairly like in-depth game, it seems. 60 to 90 minutes. And I like what it looks like. Like the kind of colorful aesthetic looks kind of fun. I have yet to I mean, I have a couple 4X games. The one I really love is Arcs, but it seems like less like a true 4X game and more like a card game with a little bit of 4X-ness in it. So I've yet to play like I don't want to say vanilla, but like a standard kind of 4X game that I've really loved. But I like the vibe. Little Maui in there. So that one is Conquest of Paradise, a remake of a game from 2007. In fact, I think this might be like a 3rd version. But it's Conquest of Paradise on Gamefound until June 6th. And then this is the last one of the week. It's called Final Titan. And it looks kind of wacky, but it also kind of reminded me of a few other games like King of Tokyo and even like Dice Throne a little bit. How it works is you're going to have a few little champions. There are these cards that have like stats on them, and they're different kind of crazy heroes. One of them is Alice in Wonderland, and another one looks like a giant alligator dude. And then from those heroes, you're trying to like take out the other players before you lose. And you do that by playing cards, but also rolling dice that, like, depending on what you roll, will either do damage to them or things like that. I think the coolest parts of this game is the design team is Richard Garfield, who I think he's a very famous designer. I'm trying to remember exactly what he designed, but like I mentioned, he did co-design King of Tokyo, and before that, I think he maybe did Magic the Gathering. Yeah, he created Magic the Gathering. And so any game that has his name on it is kind of like a big deal. Star Wars trading card game, Keyforge, Netrunner, Battletech. Anyways, so he's one of the designers of the game. And then the stack of hero cards has over 100 cards in it. And so every time you play, I think you play with 3, if I'm not mistaken. So your combination of those heroes will be pretty different from play to play. So because of that, and like kind of the graphic design and the letters and stuff, it looks like Dice Throne a little bit on the front. Plays quite a bit differently. Where's the how to play section? Here we go. So you draw upgrade cards, you draft your champions. So you'll reveal 3 champion cards. First player picks one, and then the empty spot is refilled. Second player picks one. Then you go until everyone has a full team. And then you fight, prepare for battle, roll dice for victory, it says. So, I don't know. That's Final Titan. You can also try it on Tabletop Simulator. Has 1,600 backers right now on Gamefound and is on there for 9 more days until June 7th. All right. That was a mouthful today, Devin, but that's going to do it for Crowdfunding Corner. So what is your pick of the week this week for May 30th?
It was going to be Trismegistus.
Okay.
It looks interesting.
It does. It's a...
It like might be hard for
true.
me.
It does look it does look involved, but hey, you've played more complex games than that one.
Yeah, it looks cool. I like how it looks. I don't know too much about it, but I might have to just hop on the bandwagon with how much I love Dice Throne and how this looks. And you sell me when you say you're only using 3 at a time and there's 140.
Yeah.
The amount of combinations for replayability is huge, and I like that weird little tiny my prancing pony mixed with Eevee thing.
Yeah, I can see that.
All of the characters look super unique in this, and I bet it's relatively easy to understand once you've played it once. Probably just kind of fun to see, can my 3 beat your 3?
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
I agree. I do think that.
I don't love choosing games that are 700% funded. I want to shout out games that are barely making it. Like the first one we talked about, Meteor Shower, which is not even 100 backers, only 150% funded, that type of thing. But
I do too, but I also just want it to be like the one I'm most pumped for the week. So sometimes it's going to be the one that's 70% funded, and sometimes it's going to be the one that's 7,000% funded. That's just kind of how it goes. But for me, I think mine is Trismegistus.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I really like this designer. I like heavy Euro games, kind of like Inferno that I have here on the table in front of us that we talked about on this episode of the podcast. So this is one I've wanted to try for a while. But I did think like the old art style was like a little like, I don't know if I could talk someone else into playing this with me. And if they cleaned up a few things to just make it slightly more usable and readable for new players, then I'm all for that. So that's probably my pick of the week this week. And that's going to do it for Crowdfunding Corner. Let me know if you've played any of these games, especially these ones that are kind of reprintings like Trismegistus and the something of Paradise, Conquest of Paradise, and which of them that you are most excited about that we talked about too. And we'll see you next week for episode 62 of Crowdfunding Corner. Thank you so much for watching this video. As most of you know, gaming top-down is an independent endeavor. I don't accept money from publishers for previews or opinion-related content, but there are a few ways that you can support the channel and help me keep the lights on. Liking this video and subscribing to the channel helps me to grow. If you're thinking of getting a game that I covered in this video, please click the affiliate link in the description of this video. It helps to support me and doesn't add any cost to your purchase. I also do a weekly gaming podcast where I talk about the board games that I'm playing along with my brother. You can check that out on Apple's podcasts and on Spotify. And you can also get that podcast 3 days early over on our Patreon. You can follow the Patreon at patreon.com/supergamebrothers completely for free. But if you do support us over there, you get some extra perks, like being able to write into the show, getting early access to the show, voting on the games that I'm going to cover and review, and lots of other fun stuff. Thanks so much for your support, for liking and commenting on my videos. You really are what helped keep the lights on for me. Thank you.